Are you satisfied with your understanding of sustainability? If you are not, imagine a journey together, a pluralistic one, with academia, innovators, startups, NGOs, all looking for solutions to the greatest challenge of our time. My name is Samuele Tini, and this is the Sustainability Journey. Welcome to another episode. Today we are going to the tiny island in the Indian Ocean, and there we will meet a sustainability expert, somebody that is part of the World Green Building Council. He has an extensive career in sustainability and in consulting, and as well in investing. So I am very pleased to meet today Tony Lee Luen Len. Thank you so much, Tony, for being here with us today.
Thank you, Samuel. Great to be here today on the podcast. Really honored to be with all of you auditors. Yeah, let's kick it up.
Thank you so much, Tony. And really, you are also a source of inspiration for me because really you are impersonating also what is the portfolio career and portfolio life with so many streams and all wonderful and successful. So we will discuss that and we'll discuss your journey. And this is exactly the first question for all our guests. Who is Tony? Let us know a bit more about you, how you have become a change maker in sustainability.
Yeah, I suppose it's a tricky question for me. It's always to speak about myself. So I'm a second generation Chinese immigrant in Mauritius. So my grandfather came here in the beginning of 20th century, 19 something, after the First World War. So I've been brought up in Mauritius in a rural area. So it was, we run like a little shop. My family had some business shop, and we live at the behind the shop. So it was my childhood was very much villagey, and also lots of beach, of course. We're in an island. It was like a really simple life. Yes, I went to study in Cape Town, and that at that time was apartheid. I think my swimming journey started, I think, from my being very close to people, very close to nature, and living that island life, really. And then going to South Africa for my university in Cape Town during the time of apartheid, and seeing the big difference. I didn't get to travel too much when I was younger. I did travel a few places, but not a lot. So my first big experience of the world, different world, was South Africa, and then it was obviously student life, etc. Then I got interested into construction. This is where my first degree is in quantity surveying, and I got a bit bored with that when I was working, and then I've looked at what is the next from in construction. So I got very interested into everything, and I had the chance to work with a pioneer green architect at the time. That was like a long time ago, before year 2000. And I got very interested working on different type of alternative materials, alternative systems. And that gave me like a new inspiration, like the construction industry, because I was a bit bored with the same thing. Because I mean, it's an old sort of industry, we're still building the same way that we've been building for centuries in a way. I mean, I'm generalizing, of course. And then I went to work, I manage one of the leading aluminum and glass company in South Africa. And at the time, there was already energy problems. So I was very involved with association of, and the government to see how to design buildings, because working on big buildings like airports, etc. So how we could design buildings more energy efficiently. And that was my first, after working with Pioneer Green Architect, that was my second focus, because while we're doing all these big buildings in the cities, we had to think about energy. Yeah, and then I had a car accident, and then I nearly died actually. So I decided to,
wow.
yes, yes. At the time, I was like running a company. It was like fast-paced life, like running so many projects, etc. And then that actually slowed me down. I came back to Mauritius, and I thought, okay, I nearly died. I'm come back to Mauritius now. I want to do something with my country. So I started like an NGO called Climate Change Action Forum it was just after someone came to present at the time the Al Gore movie, The Inconvenient Truth. So from that, I thought, okay, okay, this is like a cause I can fight for. Let's just work on climate change. And over time, I thought, okay, there's lots of talks on climate change. Let's call it action because we want to be action focused. So we can't call it Climate Change Action Forum. So that started when I got here was 2006, 2007. And then in 2008, actually, up to, what was it? I think it was Boston for the Green Building Conference of US Green Building. And then there I met the US Green Building Council president and the World Green Building Council people. And I'm thinking, I was working like for a cause, but I think building was my first profession, my industry. So let me rather focus on that. And that's where I actually connected with them. And I said, okay, I want to start a green building council in Mauritius. And we were the second one in Africa. And that's where it all started in terms of green building. And then from green building in Mauritius, also they started looking at smart cities. And I started working on smart cities. And then that's what got me into more now like technology also, because smart cities is also about tech. And I'm started getting interested with technology. Yeah, so then but
What a
I
journey.
always love yeah, I always love technology. And then got me into technology and I got closer to United for Smart and Sustainable Cities. So I became like part of expert groups working on great stuff. But but for me, it was all new. Not all new, but it was like some not my field. So that was amazing to be still connected with them and working on great things like guidelines, standards, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, so that's technology. When I got into technology and I started developing technology for good applications and being part of like different ecosystem with like Google for startups, etc. And I also run an NGO. Yeah, basically a lot of things. Like
No,
even my
no,
wife said,
fantastic.
like,
And I can see really the sustainability how you started from the first time you went out from Mauritius to South Africa and those times with apartheid. And then you started your journey in the building and then branching up to smart city and work and technology. And those are the things we want to discuss a bit with you, especially, now you have been many years in consulting. You have your farm ecosys and other. So can you discuss a bit how you work and which are the areas that you can see, and especially maybe with a focus on the Mauritius economy that you are escalating towards sustainability, which are the efforts that you are bringing on the island?
this is a point of me, starting also a company, Ecosis, when I started it, it was like 2006, and we started talking about sustainability, but no one understood why we would pay, like $1,000 to have a study done because we couldn't see value in sustainability and green, etc. And I think this was also part why I created a Green Building Council, just to create some awareness around all of that. And I think my work for Green Building Council, this is probably, because we're an NGO, we don't have like a lot of money. So it was really around advocacy. So I think today I can say that in Mauritius, green building is like mainstream. So everyone knows what green building is. Everyone, wants a green building nowadays. Obviously, what used to be sort of niche now is completely mainstream, which I'm glad we got to that stage. And coupled to that, from a Green Building Council, we were very also listening to the market because we're saying, okay, but green, there's also a misconception about green, etc. So we demystified a little bit. And when people said, no, but it costs more, it does cost more. And then we work actually to try to get green finance to the this project. So we will also unlock some finance and link some financial instrument to green buildings. But is I think it's keep on going, and now we've just completed also the net zero roadmap. So it was like a roadmap, but not driven by government. Normally, that's government drive policy strategies and roadmaps. So we actually took the lead, and we got all the stakeholders, including government. The minister came to do the opening speech at the first working session. So it was all stakeholders involved, and now we have completing the roadmap. So we have another working session to see how to operationalize this, who's going to do what. So I think that was quite a a good project which will have its impact. And on consultancy side, we've done quite a lot of work for government and for organization that actually looks after, like your Indian Ocean Commission, that looks after different islands. So we did works on energy efficiency. We wrote guidelines. We did regulations for building to include sustainability. That's already in 2010. We did regulation, energy efficiency regulation. We work on the electrical vehicles roadmap. Um, I don't know what was that. It was before COVID. It was like what 6 years ago. The electrical vehicle roadmap for Mauritius. And the last project what we did as consulting firm, we did a whole action plan for the public sector, for the greening of the public sector. So this is like I think yeah I think it was a great project, and government they were like very had the political will to do that. So now we part of implementation. The action plan has been written, approved by cabinet already, probably last year. So that's being operationalized there. And I think one thing that is particularly to be noted was to really bring the partnership between private sector, civil society, and the government. So part of a proposal of greening public sector, because we realize, for example, supply chain, you want to green a supply chain, but then, the government said, okay, we want to order, like some special things, but no one is importing them. And then the businesses say we don't import them because there's no one asking for it. So we saw there's like this sort of mismatch, in this, like to use the name of your podcast for sustainability journey, for to get all the different stakeholders together to work on the first national project, which is green public sector. So we needed that. So yeah, this was actually approved, and I was quite happy because normally consultation has always been ad hoc. Okay, we need some information for private sector. Let's call them and get some information. Now there's actually I think it was called, what was it? I forgot the exact name. I don't think we use advisory committee, but basically it's a committee that meets regularly with clear objectives and the multi-sector and multi-stakeholder, and that's what I think this is something that we really need when we talk about sustainability, because we need to get out of this silo. I don't know where it comes from. Probably, I don't know if it's Anglo-Saxon, but like the silo work, the specialization, etc. And that was, I wanted to mention this because I think it's quite a first for our country also to consider to have like a proper committee, multi-sector, to be able to work on something and work together all the time, actually. So it would be a good pilot.
And it's really important because we know Mauritius is a financial hub for many African countries. Actually, it is where also many companies, even from the mainland, from the continent, they have their headquarters or they have the financial hub. So sustainability scale from there will reverberate and work also to their other to their operations, maybe on the continent. And on that, I want to ask a bit more about your green building, because especially you are part of the World Green Building Council, you are also forefront of green building and sustainability, which is also very important, no? Especially if you see the type of floods that we are experiencing nowadays in East Africa, and the problem building, it is paramount. How we can make it more efficient, how we can make it properly done in respect of the environment and respecting also waterways and others. So I want to discuss a bit with you. And first of all, for the people that are not maybe aware, what is the World Green Building Council?
Yeah, so World Green Building Council is an organization that unites different green building councils around the world. I think we are about close to 80 countries which have green building councils and which are part of the World Green Building Council. So the World Green Building Council started as an offspring of a need to have like something which is international and global. So it started, I remember in the early days, there were like only a couple of people working there, but today it's an organization. And they work really about on different themes or like aspects of buildings and cities. A very important organization today also in terms of global discussion about way forward in terms of a built environment. And yeah, that's what the World Green Building Council, it supports individual Green Building Council in the countries, whatever different level stage of development we are, and also works on positions like policy papers, positions, or even now there's after COP 28, there's been this program called now Buildings Breakthrough, where World Remain Council is also part of operationalizing this buildings breakthrough and to reach the different objectives set up in this program. So it supports Remaining Council in the countries, and the way it works is it's not like, okay, let's just open Remaining Councils all over the countries. It's always like a, from bottom up, and that's where the strategy there needs to be like an interest from the ground to be able to build the organization. And obviously, there's the Kenya Green Building Society in Kenya, where you are.
Which are the initiatives that you are trying to bring up in Mauritius? Maybe if you can explain some projects that you are trying to push towards this green building.
So for me, I'm on a different level. I'm like local. At one time, I was a bit less on the Green Building Council of Mauritius. I was considering more on the Africa Regional Network of the World Green Building Council, and also part of some of my responsibilities or position in the World Green Building Council, because I also work on the Global Policy Task Force of the World Green Building Council. But in Mauritius, I think what we do in Mauritius is to provide education, so it's a lot around education, capacity building. So that's what we do here. And then a lot of advocacy work. We did the Net Zero Roadmap. We're busy also like creating a construction app, basically, for anyone to want to have best practices or where to find things or how to do things better. So that's also about awareness and education. And then on the advocacy side, we pushing because we part of different government committees, either it's the Mauritius Standards Bureau or myself, I sit on the Interministerial Committee for Climate Change. So yes, we do push a few things through there, and at the moment there's a project that we're trying to push. It's called the EcoFridge project. It's a project where we try to help the households to upgrade their fridges and their ACs to more efficient ones, with some sort of financial model to help them to pay little by little or cut onto their electricity bills, etc. The eco-fridge is one thing, and then also there's some building codes that were written. Well, actually, we wrote it ourselves, but it hasn't been enacted yet. Like now, it's we wrote these things as part of a work we did an assignment in 2010. We wrote the building codes. 2015 we made it simpler, and now 2024 we actually pushing to advocate to actually enact the codes. So I think we're getting there. So this part of the advocacy, we getting there. And then also from our network, we realize that we work as a bit of a connector also, because, for example, when I met you, it was Africa Climate Week. Yeah, so I met with some colleagues from African Union, and they have some projects that are ongoing. And so we try to, we okay keep an ear open. We say, okay, well, we can get some technical resources and financial resources for that, and we can connect you with government, and so that is some part of our work, because I think we're very connected. I'm fortunate and grateful also to yeah have traveled to all these different places to be able to meet like really cool colleagues, even our friends who are actually working in this field, trying to have some projects, but which will have like positive impact and positive change to be rolled out and operationalized. So I think that's where I see myself as a person to do that, globally, regionally, locally, and even for our consulting work for private sector, because that's what I think my job is always to try to push for better. It's like trying to convince, either it's government or a corporate to, yeah, you need to change, you need to spend the money to be able to do better. And I think that's part of even the clients paying us to do some work. We always find that it is always a negotiation to get them to be more ambitious. I mean, yeah, I
It's
mean,
not easy.
yeah, it's not easy.
I can see in your presentation, your work, and also your trajectory from the building, let's say from the code, and now from the actual building and trying to become more efficiency, appliances, and work. You have also pivoted towards what is smart cities and going towards metaverse, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and what. So can you explain at this step for how you are going from building maybe to planning the smart cities and embedding technology in how we build and we live also, because we know that, especially for us in Africa, we will be a more urbanized society in the next 20 to 30 years.
Yeah, so this is part of like my passion because I think first I thought, like I specialized myself in collaboration. That was, like maybe like over 10 years ago. So we were like a professional organization which call themselves partnership brokers. So basically how you actually broker partnership and collaboration. And then when I'm started working in technology, I realized, that's obviously, really into our lives, like technology and I thought, this is like can be a lever for us to accelerate transition and to survive actually, for our survival to include technology. And that's why I got closer to the technology and got involved with U4SSC, United for Smart and Sustainable Cities, and just checking also what type of work we're doing and hopping onto these working groups. Whether it's AI, probably the last so the last few months I haven't been so involved because I've been so busy with other things. But I was involved with some guidelines for environmental efficiency of AI, just to try to understand all of this whole, what all the different aspects of it. Even like metaverse, I've been involved with a few working groups, but I haven't had time to give bandwidth to be able to write some of the documents, but I've been following. And it's very interesting. Also how, we what's the future is looking like. Today maybe the metaverse is not so important. I mean, the guy from Facebook, they call his company Meta, but it was a bit of a flop, etc. But even if you look at the young generation, they have a lot of screen time. Even us, we have a lot of screen time. So our life is very much also in on the screens, and then that's where the metaverse comes into play, and how we can leverage that to deliver education or values or how to shape society. Because that's very important because this is a tool we engage with all the time, and then there are also very important consideration and concerns to tackle. I think what's you for SSC is there also to safeguard. Yeah, I'm not sure if I answered your question. I mean, for me, it's just very important that we don't deny that technology is part of the solution, actually, and that's why I got interested because that can make us more efficient. We can if you look at, for example, there can be for flooding, there can be early warning systems, Internet of Things, all these things can be very valuable to us. So what I want to talk about when you asked me to a question, I forgot to mention, because a lot of the conversation is around mitigation from a northern hemisphere. It's like how we can be more energy efficient, etc. But in a small country and small island like ours, and that's why, I think there's some importance for us, for our voice to be heard, because we realize, we don't have so much impact on the climate change because we're just a small country with, the carbon emission being very, I think it was 0.02% of the whole world. But where focus for us is more about adaptation, and I try to bring this also to the conversation at the World Remaining Council level because it's either written by people from Europe, and they don't really think, for us, yes, energy efficiency, uses energy, great, but it's all about adaptation. I mean, we had the flood on Sunday. claws were floating in the city again. Good thing this time no one died. Yeah, I wanted to mention that. So, but let's go through to the technology part. Yes.
It's really important because the perspective, and my question is really from the financial hub of Africa. And my next question for you was your perspective from that. And you really preempt the question because it's really important. The perspective of small island is often overlooked, and maybe we built the policies and war based on the problem from the bigger countries. So the powerhouse of the world from the US, China, Europe, and others, while we forget also that here we are already facing climate change and we need to adapt because it is not now mitigated. So it's like it's already here. And as I said, the other day I had also a car floating and issues after having the worst drought in 40 years last year. So it's really important. And from that, since you Mauritius and you are deep involved in Mauritian economy, which is also an economy that is open to the continent, as I said, as a financial hub for us here in Africa, which is the perspective from your point of view of the growth of sustainability movement in Africa? How do you see the challenge and opportunities for us and for businesses in our landscape? Since we are a bit different, but we know that we are rising, and this is the IMF Christnet that this is the African century. So we want to know if it's the African century, how we can make it sustainable.
Yeah, I think I mean, there's lots of different sort of standards, regulations, as you know, for the corporates, and more. I think in like the money behind those corporates are asking for more accountability, and that's why today this whole ESG is like really mainstream. But that is also like a language, I think, from developed countries, ESG. And when you come to Africa, where, probably the S would be more important, where they're actually trying to survive. And when you speak about, I mean, a simple example, they can't even have food, and now you're asking them to recycle, people to recycle their bottles, something. I mean, that's not even part of their thinking, like I need to find food to have for my family. Why, you ask me to recycle plastic bottles, so what can happen, which is great, what we always talk about, but for Africa, is the leapfrogging. And this is where we can actually learn and be able to, yeah, already have like high objective and ambitious objectives. But it's very tricky, as you can imagine. I mean, I don't know, everything. From the little I know, the context where companies operate in Africa, it's not the same as, you've been, I don't know, it's like developed country. But having said that, I think African founders they have more of a connection. I mean, I'm generalizing. Don't. Yeah. So I'm just generalizing from where bringing, from where they come from. But generally, I mean, I look at myself. Where society, environment, is actually quite important. So I would say that maybe the self, the whole part of the capitalist system is a bit less entrenched, and generalizing again in Africa. So it is easier maybe to convince an African founder, director of an organization, and obviously there's going pressure to make money and all these things. But I think, I mean, I'm optimist. I'm optimist to see that, the giving back part, the ESG part, the stakeholders part of business in Africa could be something, which is easier achieved than, a capitalist system really, focus on profit, where we try to do that. I mean, yeah, I mean, you would know that better than me, involved with B Corp. So I'm not sure how the reason for people being B Corp in Africa probably is not the same, in the US. So yeah, I think you can tell us a bit more about that, how you're
No,
feeling.
no, it's
Eh,
true. No, it's really as I say, we have so and the journeys as your journey, you are second generation immigrant from China to Mauritius, now to the consulting world, to the world. So also the focus that many founders, as you said, in Africa, they have on the social part, because they are trying to solve social problems. So they are trying, and in a way, many companies, they are a B Corp or they are towards that because they have a strong foundation on solving social problem that maybe the founder or director or others they have seen and lived in their life. So they want, for example, the one we have interviewed, people that they want to improve the milk value chain, or people that they want to improve the coffee value chain, because they have seen the struggle of farmers, they've seen the struggle of producers, and many others. There was a guy talking about honey in Tanzania, where they were. So it's really it's really something that I think, as you said, the S for us, and maybe a bit the E, the environment, they are the very strong one, because we have a lot of social problem, and businesses, they are born sometimes social, and so they are social enterprises by default, because they are really giving back and solving problem to the people. And Tony, it's really a wonderful episode because it's full of insights and your work, and especially I really like the journey of people like the as you and me, in a way, immigrants in this continent. Now they are building and working here and really getting blended in this part of the world. And for the people that are listening, because they might say, "Oh, wow, Tony, you have been consulting for government, working there, the green building. Wow, so you are doing work now with the Mauritius government, trying to create codes and things and supporting." What people can do? Which advice you can give to some inspiring professional people that they have not walked maybe as far as you, and counsel them a bit on maybe your three advice?
Yeah, so I think is to have this purpose. I mean, like everyone, in a capitalist system, it's very important to be able to you know, have money to live and family, etc. But I mean, everything that I've done, I think it was because I believe in something and I wanted to do something, and it was more of of this sort of objective that actually drove me. I wasn't thinking, for me, I thought, okay, but money would just come, which it did. So it was more about doing what I think was important and the right thing to do, and then everything else falls into place. So I think the first one would be have a mission, stick by it, and live your mission. So whatever it is. So I think that's is the first thing. And then for me, what has worked is actually even if some of my work, you can say it's maybe got some politics attached to it. In other cases, obviously have some politics. Yeah, I'm actually apolitical, so I work with anyone who's aligned with my mission. So it doesn't mean if you're this party, or whatever color of your skin. So as long as mission or is somehow aligned with mine, then that's good enough. So the second one is is not don't take any position on someone or some organization too quickly, and work from judgments. As long you can work together, then I mean to a limit. What I'm saying is, even if a person, you need to have some affinities, of course, if your mission are aligned. But yeah, so basically, I work with anyone, and I try to be myself, and so that. And then the last thing, yeah, you must do what you love. So that's what I think for me. Since I'm young, I come from not a wealthy background, and slowly by slowly be able to climb the ladders. But even that wasn't my objective to be where I am today. It was just yeah, maybe like one step at a time. you know, you have a mission, but just do like one thing at a time. Don't yeah, and be really engaged in the moment, in what you're doing, 100% engaged, and I think things will just unfold.
Fantastic, Tony. And it's really an inspirational journey from your days, I mean, in a village in Mauritius, now to the world. So you really have worked a lot, and you are also an example of success and work, and also your sustainability work and your advocacy part, which is really important. So I really want to thank you so much for coming on board and taking your time. It has been a pleasure and honor. Thank you so much, Tony.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, dear auditors and listeners. All the very best to all of you.
Are you satisfied after this wonderful episode? Let's continue together our sustainability journey.